TEEX and the leaks. Got to do the mid-year conference. The biggest thing, and I can't emphasize enough, is the professional development. Y'all know this year they did away with the PLCs, not the PLC, the PLUs. Everybody clap. They did away with the with those PLUs as you know, you used to have to get 10. Now to go towards your certification, you have to do, you know, y'all remember when Audrey came in and you picked your what you wanted to work on, and now you're supposed to be doing it and uploading the artifacts onto the TEEX platform. And at the end of the year, okay, I will look at it, and then either we're gonna sign off on it or we're not. Again, please do not wait till now to start trying to, look, this has got to be something that's supposed to be continuous, and it's supposed to be something for your professional development. Mine is on formative assessments, so of course I'm on the DOE website doing the flip. I'm doing actually formative assessment modules, and at the end of each module it gives me a completion and gives me a little certificate of completion. So I upload those onto my TEEX platform. Then every video I watch, it gives a little transcript of the video, so I upload that. So when Dr. Henry looks at mine, it's gonna be crystal clear. There ain't gonna be no question that I've done my professional development. That's the way I need to be able to look at each of yours. It should, when they pull up, it should jump. It shouldn't be you sitting there trying to explain this to me and trying to say why this, you know, it should be just there. If it's like that, I will sign off on it. If it's not, I'm not signing off on it. Because if I do sign off on one, it's not complete, then I'll go to the professional standards. That's why I keep saying this. That's why I'm keeping it in front of you. That's why we're talking about it at this mid-year conference briefing.
Dr.
Sir.
On that, is there, I can't remember, is there a minimum number of artifacts or anything like that supposed to be on there?
Well, you know, it's not a minimum number. It's just something that has to be professional development through the year. So it has to be something, so you need to get into something that will give you that capability. You know, for me, that's why I picked, you know, one of the reasons I picked formative assessment, because y'all know we put a premium on that, but also it gave me a tracking mechanism where it made it real easy to show that I've done these modules and I've taken care of that stuff, okay? So get into something like that. I know some of y'all chose, y'all chose a variety of topics, technology and stuff like that. The stuff that Ms. Tatum does is good, but she only does that maybe once a month or something like that, that's something you can get credit for because she always tells you to upload the thing, but it's got to be some continuous for professional development for the year, okay? So, can't emphasize that enough. And that's some of the questions. How are you reaching your self-assessment goals and determining your professional growth? That's something you need to think about. And how are you working towards your goals using professional learning? And that's something you need to think about. And also, y'all know this year they did the flexible and then the old way. So some of y'all on the flex plan where you don't have as many walkthroughs, and then some of y'all on the normal full plan. So once school gets started back, we'll start getting back on track with them. The biggest thing is when you do have a walkthrough, please go in there and sign off on it, because you'll get feedback. We'll send you a final email. When you get that final email, let's go in there and sign off on it. We got spoiled with Ms. Binion last year. She sent out those reports, and I knew exactly who it was, and we could shoot you an email, and we kind of got spoiled. Well, the process has changed, and Ms. Bingham is gone, and so we don't get the reports because that was her focus. So now the person is over, that is not really their focus. They got a whole lot of other things they need to be doing. So if you do receive a walkthrough final thing, then just go in there and sign off on it. So you had a green check. We'll need to sign off on this. We'll sign off on the fact that we've had the mid-year conference, and then us as evaluators, we'll go in and sign off on it as well, and that'll give us the green check as well. Some things to keep in mind is artifacts. You know, when we're doing our portfolios, we just did grade verification sheets. Again, you know, student failure class, it is what it is. My biggest thing is we just have to be able to show where we've done all that we were supposed to do to make that student successful. Okay, so that's the purpose of, you know, the portfolio. So when we have those conferences with these parents, then we lay that portfolio out there, there's no question. So it's okay, if you got a student that's not doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm putting this on video, because I think there's some kind of misunderstanding that I don't want students to fail, I want students to be successful. But, you know, students have to do what they're supposed to do to pass your class. But on the flip side of that, we got things that we're supposed to do to make sure that we've done everything we're supposed to do. So just like I'm a parent, if Ashley don't do what she's supposed to do and she fails a class, that's okay. But when I go over there to see what's going on, I need to have had some communication from the teacher. I need to have been in the loop the whole process. So it's not an issue of a kid not failing. The issue is it's not keeping those parents in the process. Then all of a sudden it's a surprise. You know, so that's the purpose of portfolios in case there's a question, because y'all know it, and some of y'all have said in those conferences, when the child don't do what they supposed to, who they gonna blame? They gonna blame us. And they don't have to just blame us at this level. They can blame us on two or three other levels higher. So we have to be able to defend or to justify our grades for our students. Just like if I gave you a 1 or not a 1, if I gave you a 1 on a walkthrough, then you want to know why you got that 1. I mean, you know, nobody in here don't get a 1, or if you got a 1, didn't want to know why. It's the same thing when it comes to students. So we have to have those portfolios. We have to show parent communication, putting it into the portal so those parents are informed. Because some of y'all said in those meetings where the parents, where you've had to show that, no, I called you on this date and I've informed, because they're going to come in here and they're going to blame you, they're going to blame me, then they're going to go to the board, they're going to blame us, and then the board's going to call me, and we got justification, then it's a non-issue. And y'all know this, this is just our mid-year conference, and y'all know all this, and some of y'all have been in there. And some of y'all have had to slide that portfolio over. And those of you that haven't, if you ever get in that situation, and you got that portfolio, you'll see how magical that can change a meeting. When you slide that across, and you got all your stuff, then it's amazing how that changes the meeting. So just remember that. Zeros are not permitted. Our handbook, when we do a handbook, our handbook is sent to the Board of Education, our student handbook, and our teacher handbook. It's sent to the Board of Education, they review it, and then they approve it. So whatever we put in our handbook, and if y'all don't think that I had a dress code, we had a dress code right before the break. And little girl, first dress code, sweet little girl, no problem. Well, her dress was just too short. And she had a handbook in her book bag. So when the daddy comes to pick her up, they pull out the handbook and look at the handbook and read everything it says about a dress code. So now once it was justified in the handbook, the daddy took the little girl on home and she changed her clothes, but guess who he wanted to talk to when he got back? Me. But if it hadn't have been, if he hadn't followed the handbook, he'd have talked to me before he took her out to go home, telling me how wrong we are in implementing our policies. So when zeros are permitted, if a student gets a zero, if I was well, my kids are gone now, but when Ashley gets over here and, you know, well, y'all all do a good job. Well, I've been blessed, so maybe that's not a good example. But if I'm a parent and I'm a conscientious parent, I read the handbook, like most of you all are with your children, and I read the handbook, and I see Zach, zeros are permitted. And I look at the parent portal, and there's a zero by my child's name. Do you not think that I'm not going to pull that handbook out and say, show me how you follow that policy? Now, if you followed it, then it's a non-issue. But if we haven't, then we got a problem. And oh, by the way, if I get in my car and take it to the board and say, listen, here's this handbook that y'all approved that's saying zero are permitted and y'all gonna do this, thus, and so, and my child's got a zero and they ain't even following their own handbook. And y'all know this happens. I'm not telling you nothing you don't know. I'm just trying to prevent those conversations. And oh, by the way, it is a ethic violation is because I don't want to follow that, I stick a 10 or a 20 in there. We got some of us to do that. You stick a 10 or a 20 in there as a placeholder because you don't want to follow the ZAP policy. That's an ethics violation. You cannot do that. The only reason I hadn't addressed it is because I didn't remind y'all that publicly. Now I've reminded you publicly. So when I check those verification sheets and there's a 10 sitting in there, you got to tell me why that 10 is in there. Because I know some of us put 10s and 20s in there as placeholders because I don't want to get around the ZAP policy. Now, I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. And that's an ethics violation. We can't do that, y'all. So just follow the policy. And I know some of y'all thinking, surely nobody does that. Yeah, we have people that do that. So don't get yourself caught up into that. All right? Mid-year conference. Okay, we have to be able to remember, based on our evidence, are our students on track to meet their growth targets, to pass their courses, and their post-assessments. Just got to make sure our students are on track to meet those things. The biggest thing is what if they're not? It's communication. That's the biggest thing is communication. Communicating with these parents. If you got a student that's not doing what they're doing. Some of y'all do a great job. Y'all communicate with parents, and let me compliment those of us that do that. I won't leave you out. Y'all, not only you communicate with parents, you shoot me an email and ask me to support you. When you do that, it is a non-issue. The issue is when we don't do it. And like I always say, if we do for other children like we would want it done for ours, whether it's our child or our nephew or our niece or our family member, you will not go wrong. It is a non-issue. You know, when I was in the classroom, you know, and I taught maybe health or something, I had no problem doing that kind of stuff because I want that same stuff done for my child. All right. We need to remember to make sure our students know and understand what they're responsible for or what their growth targets are. again, communicating to the students, to the parents, if the students, are not meeting those targets. And then I'm always here, or this administrative staff is always here to support whatever way that we can. All right, from however we can support you in making these things happen. Okay. All right. Any questions on our mid-year conference? So if you would please, after we, between today and tomorrow, you get an opportunity to go in and sign off that we've had our mid-year conference, and then I'll go and sign off on it as well. I've got one more piece of data I need to show you that we were not able to get to this morning. This is we had the district data tracking sheets. Y'all remember when those came up probably last year, the year before. And I knew that it was supposed to be done by departments. Y'all remember that? And you feed it up to me, and then I feed it up to the board. Well, I've taken it on, so I do it, and then I send it to the board. But this is one category: reading inventory. Let me stand back over here, so I'm not in the way. All right, so we got our reading inventory data. This is for the month of August, and then I'll do December. That's the number of students at the time that's enrolled in each grade. And then here's our basic for the 9th grade, below basic for the 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. And these are the percentage of students, these are percentages here of students that are basic, and then here's proficient, and here's advanced. Where we want students to hit is in proficient and advanced. Because according to Striving Readers, below basic, the kids are in the red, and then basic, the kids are in the yellow. So where we want to get the kids at is in proficient or advanced. So those are percentages, and as you can see, we still got some work to do in our below basic. That's our reading inventory. That's that RI that the teachers take in their English class. So we just took another one in December. We hadn't got those results in. I will plug those in probably sometime this week, so we can see the increase. These are not percentages. Oh, I'm sorry. These are the number of students. I'm sorry. These are the number of students, not percentages.
And the reason the 12th is so off is because we have so many dual enrollment and stuff.
Right. Yeah, y'all jump in here whenever y'all can. I'm saying something incorrect. So we didn't do the math inventory. We'll keep going. All right, here's our mock writing test that we did in October. We did it with 9th and 11th graders. So here are the numbers, and here where we at. So at 147 out of 217 below, 24 on, and 8 above. And out of 11th graders, 197 that took it, 69 was below, 46 was on, and 11 was above. All right, and we'll do it again in February. One thing we do, we look at this data, we see what it is that we need to work on to fix, so we can see some improvement the next time we get it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
This number right here is off because even though it's 11th grade, the reason this number is so much lower is because a lot of our 11th graders are in AP like AP language, and so they would be, even though classified as 11th and enrolled.
Right. Academic progress, this is what goes, here are the number of students right here, and here are the number of kids that did not, there's your failures. So that's ELA 9 through 12, math, science, social studies. Okay? So we, that's the first 9 weeks. This 9 weeks is just up. So then once I get the report, then I'll be updated. So then we just compare to make sure the thing that we're looking for is just progress. Okay? So we'll compare the second 9 weeks, the same data. All right? That's third and fourth 9 weeks. All right, this is our response to intervention. Here's tier 2 and tier 3. That's our number of kids. We got 19 students in tier 2 and 7 are in tier 3. Ms. Bryson, talk about tier 2 and 3 for us, just for so everybody understand what that is.
Tier 2 and Tier 3 are basically the ones that are going to be in your reading enrichment and math support classes, along with some of your Tier 4. They're the ones that may have to have a little extra help instead of just the regular class. This is where they're going to require maybe flashcards, or they're going to require maybe something in addition to that, and that's where they're getting tested at.
Is that noted in the campus that they're on the tier intervention?
We would like it to be, and there is a tab for it, but Amy Vickers is working on that. It is a work in progress.
Okay.
That's a cool question. We need to make that happen. Because the more we know about our students, the better. You know, basically everyone is on tier 1. You know, basically all our kids is a tier 1. We do whatever we need to do for them at the tier 1 level. But your tier 2 and your tier 3 are your students that, like she said, that needs a little more support. So these are the students that we have in tier 2 and tier 3 by grade. All right. Thank you. All right, we look at staff attendance. This goes over as well. We've got teachers that missed 1 through, this is just the first 9 weeks. We didn't do it by 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. We just did it by totals. So 1 through 5 days, we got 42 that's missed 1 through 5. A lot of it is in your 1 day, 2 day range.
Does that count if you do school activities?
No, sir. It's just personal, personal. Sick, just sick or personal. 10 days, a lot of them are like, 10 days is like maternity leave or anything like that. So that's not a big concern right there. So you do a good job of coming to work. All right, here's our students. Like I said, the 6, it was 10, 6 or more. We'll get the 9 weeks data inputted, but as you can see, by grade and number of kids. So that's where we are.
Is that kids that might have withdrawn already as well? Are they counted in that?
If they were here the first 9 weeks, it would be. It would be. Behavior. Number of referrals by month is all the way over to November. I'll add December's data in there at a later time so we can update this. But these are the referrals by grade, by month. I don't know what happened in November in our 9th grade. It must have fell out the head. But and this is a good tool because it helps me also when we're looking at discipline. When we do our counseling, I know we didn't do our first 9-week counseling with your assistant principal. some kind of way it was a disconnect on that, so we're gonna pick that up, and do your counseling with your assistant principal for the first and second 9 weeks. And then you can, that's when we show you how many referrals you had and talk to you personally about the number of days and all that kind of stuff. So we had a little disconnect on that, but we're gonna fix that. Here's our students with disability as far as discipline. Our black males, as far as discipline is concerned by grade, and then the number of students assigned to ISS by grade, as you can see, by month, and then out of school suspension, by grade and by month. So you see our 9th graders, they kind of struggle. If you look at discipline, we need to focus on these 9th graders a little bit. By the time they get to 10th, 11th, and 12th, they've settled down a little bit. And also, you got to keep in mind, this could be 3 kids. So you need to keep that in mind too. That's not 30, that could be 3 kids that totals that 32, 3 or 4 students that totals that. So what we do is we look at this, then I get the chart and I try to identify those students, and that's where we're hoping our mentoring. Well, Miss Giddens, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I'm keeping up with the time. That's where we look at that, and in our mentoring program, that's what we can focus on and pinpoint those students. And those are just the total numbers right there. I think that might be, is that it? So that's our school-wide data. I'll update it, and periodically we'll revisit this. We talked about our school improvement plan this morning. Be kind of thinking about that, because we're going to have to, at the end of the year, we have to look at that and see what are some of the things or any of the changes that we need to do. And also we looked at our CCRPI data. And overall, y'all, we're moving in the right direction. If you look at what we're graded by the state with the CCRPI and everything, we're continuously moving in the right direction. And I just want to say thank you for all your hard work and everything that you do to make these students successful. It is really, really appreciated. I always say in this business, you really don't get your data boys until you run into a student and they're grown. In this business, you really don't get a thank you until you run into one in Walmart and they're grown and everything you've been telling them is kind of sinking in, and that's when they'll come and hug your neck and tell you how much they appreciate you. Every now and then, seniors will get a little sentimental at the end and they'll give you a golden apple or they'll hug your neck, but most of the time, we don't get our thank yous till later on. And we do what we're supposed to do by these students. It's coming. And I just believe in this profession, you get a star in your crown, because this is a calling, y'all. This ain't, you gotta be called to do this. Everybody, it's kind of like I think about police officers, that everybody just don't walk off the street and teach or join a police force. This is a calling, and you all are really, really appreciate it. And I know that your students appreciate, the way that you're making them successful, and based on the data is saying that you all are doing what you need to do to make these students successful. And as your principal, I just want to say thank you for all of your hard work. We're going into the second half of the year, and y'all know how fast, once you get in that second half, this thing is going to fly by. You're going to have prom, you're going to have spring break, and it's going to be a wrap. I know y'all on the prom committee excited about that. But please check your duty schedule for tomorrow. Check your duty roster before you leave, so we can be back on point tomorrow. Am I leaving anything else out? We got everything else? That's good. All right. Okay. Thank you so much.